Hey, shalom, shalom. First off, I'd like to say, call halal, Yahweh, Bahashim, Yahweh Shai, Bahashim Rakakwadash. I'd like to give double honors to the apostles and elders of Great Millstone who taught me. Also would like to say peace, blessings, and salutations to the elect, the Akim that's pushing this word, and all sincerity and faith throughout the four corners of the earth. For the Akwat, the sisters who watch and believe, shalom to you as well. Shalom to the new fruit, the new believers, the new viewers coming into this thing. Just back with another lesson, and I just wanted to talk about the big elephant in the room that a lot of our people especially are scared to address, and it's Esau, Edom, the wicked according to the Bible. When you go in Job 9:24, it says that the earth is given into the hand of the wicked. All right, and through process of elimination and just using outright logic and just being truthful, we know that it's the red Hebrew Edomites. Okay, because everybody has a biblical nationality according to the Bible, and it just so happens that the self-proclaimed nation of white people are the Edomites in the Bible, going back in Genesis to Esau. That's their forefather. Okay, and pretty much we're coming into a time where the Most High is about to collapse their rulership. Okay, start with Babylon the Great, which is America. Okay, which is at the forefront of their rulership and their empire. All right, but I just want to go through the scriptures just to kind of highlight some Esau's wicked nature, of course, and just how through the Bible we can prove who this nation is, man. And then just speaking as far as prophecy is concerned concerning their downfall. Okay, but before I ramble on too much, I'm gonna go into First Maccabees, the first chapter, which Maccabees is a part of the Apocrypha, which if you have the original 1611 King James Bible, then, you know, the book of Maccabees, you will find this book of history, okay? Because this is where the Israelites, you know, in the book of Maccabees, they were Hellenized, okay? That's where you learn about the Greek history, okay? But First Maccabees 1:1, it says, and it happened after that Alexander, son of Philip, the Macedonian, who came out of the land of Chittim, had smitten Darius, king of the Persians and Medes, that he reigned in his stead the first over Greece. So here it is, Greek history right here. All right, starting with Alexander, who the world knows as Alexander the Great. He was the first ruler over Greece. And it says, and made many wars and won many strongholds and slew the kings of the earth. Okay. It says, and went through to the ends of the earth and took spoils of many nations, insomuch that the earth was quiet before him, whereupon he was exalted and his heart was lifted up. All right. Talking about Alexander. But I wanted to jump down because it goes into how after he died, he parted his kingdom, you know, with, you know, his officers that came up with him, you know, and that's how we go into the Ptolemaic Empire, the Seleucid Empire. I think Cassander and Lysimaeus was the other general, all right, that he parted his kingdom with. But it says, matter of fact, verse 7, it says, so Alexander reigned 12 years and then died, and after his death, they all put crowns, Salakia. It says, and his servants bear rule, everyone in his place. Talking about those four generals I just named. And it says, and after his death, they all put crowns upon themselves. So did their sons after them. And many years and evils were multiplied in the earth. So, you know, through the establishment of the Greek Empire through Alexander, and then after his death, his four generals that came into power, it says that evils were multiplied in the earth, man. All right. And then, of course, we know after the Roman Empire, or Salakia, we know that after the Greek Empire, the Romans came into power, which these are all the same nationality of people. Okay. That's why they even called it the Greco-Roman Empire, because it was ruled by Edomites. All right. And then, of course, the last leg of the Roman Empire is Babylon the Great, America here today. Okay, that's why, you know, they have a Senate That's why they have an election to put their leaders into position of power. Okay. That's why they have these gladiatorial events, coliseums, Roman numerals, so on and so forth. Okay. Because this is nothing but the revival of the Greco-Roman Empire. I'm speaking of America. And the same nation of people is still ruling. And that's the Hebrew Edom, the red Hebrew Edomites. All right. But just going back into the scriptures, I'm going to go to Obadiah. Obadiah 1:1. It says, the vision of Obadiah, thus saith the Lord power concerning Edom. All right. You Edomites. It says, we have heard a rumor from the Lord, and an ambassador is sent among the heathen. Arise ye and let us rise up against her in battle. All right. And that's what's happening right now, man. All of these other nations, they're rising up against America in battle, against Babylon the Great in battle. That's why, like it says in Revelation, there's going to be a third world war. Okay. That's going to lead to the ultimate destruction by thermonuclear fire of Babylon the Great America. It says, behold, I have made thee small among the heathen. Thou art greatly despised. And when you go into that word small, it means insignificant, man. All right. And all of these heathen nations, they greatly despise this place. The only reason why a lot of these other nations are in cahoots with America is strictly for profit, to make money. Okay. Like when you go into Revelation, the 18th chapter, you know, the kings of the earth have committed fornication, you know, and they've waxed rich through the abundance of the delicacies. I'm loosely paraphrasing that. Verse 3, it says, the pride of thine heart hath deceived thee, that dwellest in the cliffs of the rocks. And we know, or I'm going to ask a question rather, who's the proudest nation of people on the planet? It's you red Hebrew Edomites, man. All right. And it says that dwellest in the clefts of the rocks, whose habitation is high. All right. And that's why these Edomites, they have an infatuation with skyscrapers and these super tall buildings, man, because it reminds them of being back in the caves, man. You even have a term Caucasian, which it means cave dweller. OK, because they go back to the Caucasus Mountains. OK, it says that saith in his heart, who shall bring me down to the ground? Speaking of that pride, because especially through their military might, you know, they don't think that they could be brought down. It says, though thou exalt thyself as the eagle, and thou set thy nest among the stars, thence will I bring thee down, saith the Lord. And an eagle, I think that's the national bird, is the eagle. Okay, because the eagle represents, you know, an eagle is an apex predator. You know, an eagle can see over everything from way on high. And it says, and they set thy nest among the stars, man. All right. Because they got satellites and stuff like that in outer space. They even have a space force because they're going to try to fight up. They're going to try to come to battle against the Lord and the chariots and the angels. But it's not going to work, man. The pride of their heart hath deceived them, man. And the Lord is going to put the spirit on them to fight, but they're going to lose in a drastic fashion. We're in a time right now where Esau, Edom, they're about to be brought down, man. Okay. That's why that scripture comes to mind. The man of sin is being revealed right now. You know, the veil of all Esau's wickedness is being uncovered. OK, like it talks about in Isaiah 47, it says thy skirt is being lifted, meaning Esau, Edom, they're being exposed, man. All right. And it talks about in Habakkuk, the 2nd chapter, that there's a shameful spewing on the glory of the wicked because it's just their time, man. All of this rape, robbery, murder, deception, OK, oppression, just putting hell on the world, man. The Lord is about to visit them real soon, man. And it's going to start, you know, with the elites of you Edomites, man. All right. Because ultimately the elites of Esau, Edom, they want to establish their new world enterprise. I'll just say it that way. All right. But right in the fullness of their sufficiency, they're going to be in straits, like it says in Job 20. But I'll read this right here, and I'm going to end out the short lesson. I'm on my little lunch break. So I was like, man, why not strike while the iron is hot? You know, and just get a little lesson in. Because I was meditating on Esau, and I think the elder Yashawamba, you know, in the little chat, he was like, a lot of these black conservatives like Anton Daniels, the Hodge twins, you know, they need to be addressed too. Because even though they get on, you know, the YNs and, you know, Jake, the Thugs and Pookie and Ray Ray, they don't never want to address Esau, man. All of his hypocrisy and deception, you know. But the prophets are not going to let Esau off the hook. But I'm in the book of, bear with me real quick. Yo, I'm in 2nd Ezra chapter 6, verse 7. And I'm in the G&T version. I just want to see how it read. But it says, then I ask, how long a period of time will divide the ages? When will the first age end and the next stage begin? And that's the spirit that the prophets are in, just like Ezra was inquiring with the angel. Okay, because we understand once Esau's kingdom collapses and is destroyed, that's when the kingdom of heaven, the tabernacle of David, can be established upon the earth. All right, a kingdom of righteousness. It says, he answered, the interval will be no longer than that between Abraham and Abraham. He was the grandfather of both Jacob and Esau. And when they were born, Jacob was holding Esau's heel, which that would be symbolic that Jacob would pull down Esau in the last days. OK, it says Esau represents the end of this age. And I know in the KJV, it says Esau represents the end of the world. And it's not talking about the entire inhabited earth, because the earth abides forever. But it's talking about this current rulership, Esau's rulership. That's what's about to be put to an end. We're in an end of an age. OK, it says Esau represents the end of this age or rulership. And Jacob, which, you know, Jacob's name was changed to Israel. It says, and Jacob represents the beginning of the new age concerning the kingdom of heaven, which is going to play out on the earth. So if Jacob's hand is the beginning and Esau's heel is the end, do not try to find a space in between. All right, because the space in between, it ain't even going to matter at that point, man, because we're almost at that time, man. So it's very important. It's critical that Esau and his kingdom collapse and is destroyed, because we can't get the kingdom of heaven until Esau's kingdom is destroyed. And that's going to affect us, the men of the Lord, because we still depend on things within Esau's kingdom, you know, to survive, so to speak. But faith is a gift that's super precious, especially in these days, because we're going to have to depend on the Lord, man, you know. And ultimately, our big brother, who the world ignorantly calls Jesus Christ, which we know his true name is Yahweh Shah, he's going to have to come, and what the world calls UFOs, which we understand that those are the chariots of Israel. And we're going to have to be delivered, man, out of this destruction, out of this thermonuclear fire. So we're almost at that time. Brothers, hold fast to the faithful word until Yahweh Shah comes to deliver us, because our enemy, you know, our main enemy, the enemy of the Most High, his people, he's about to be brought down, man. All right. So with all being said, Lord willing and certified, I want to give all praises to Yahweh, Bahashim, Yahweh Shah, Bahashim Rakakwadash. Double honors to the apostles and elders of Great Millstone. Shalom, peace and blessings to the elect.